Welcome to day 37 of my sequester. Some of you had listened to or actually read the opening or overture to my memoir a couple of weeks ago. I think it was kind of an in-your-face post to some extent. And I thought I would follow up with something that is, again, from my childhood, probably not a story that you've heard before. So to my friends and family, I'm going to post something else this time with video and hope that you enjoy it. And I don't know, I'll do some more, maybe. Don't know, depends on how long I'm locked up like this. So here goes. The name of this is Nan. Angels appear when you're too young to even name them. Nan Chumley was this sort of watchful, vigilant angel appearing as the need presented itself. This tiny, delicate woman who attended our church each Sunday had sons about the age of my brother Chip. I'm sure my mom knew more about her, but my life was focused on other friends and adults at the church. I had just graduated from high school at 17 and was accepted to the University of Florida, but there were no financial resources to make it a possibility. I had observed my friends excitedly conversing about their plans for college. They were making decisions about roommates and what to bring. The flurry of excitement was swirling like leaves blown in a wind at a school community and the church as well. Many friends were staying in Florida, but others took the bold plunge to go further north, where snow is a reality that I had yet to experience. My friend Ricky was going to Oberlin as a piano major. Don't think I even knew the state Oberlin was in. It would be much later that I understood the connection he had with the Chumleys through his music. The tradition of the youth at St. Philip's attending church camp in Avon Park, Florida, continued with my brother. We had all been attending camp since 5th or 6th grade. This was Chip's first year. Mrs. Chumley was driving the carpool to camp for her 2 sons and my 8-year-old brother. Along the several-hour trip, mostly 2-lane roads, Nan and Chip conversed, and Nan asked where I was going to college. He replied, quote, "She's not. There is no money." Typical of an 8-year-old. The next week, my mother got a call from Nan inviting us both to tea. Of course, I didn't know anything about the conversation she had had with my brother. The Chumleys lived in the Gables. Coral Gables was a city within a city, or within the city of Miami. The Spanish-inspired homes from the 1920s and 30s remained beautifully cared for, especially on roads like Alhambra Circle. This was the case of the Chumleys. We sat in the carefully decorated living room that overlooked a glassed-in room that was their studio. Both husband and wife were concert pianists and had 2 7-foot Steinway grand pianos facing each other. This was, however, not the subject of this day. After small talk for several minutes, Nan changed the conversation. She was offering me a full scholarship, including a grant, for my first year at the University of Florida. Eventually, that offer extended into the second year, and assistance was ultimately offered to my sisters as well. Their family had a foundation that I hope exists today. I made sure I repaid the grant in full after I finished college, as my sisters did, so that we could pay it forward for many others. I did not see the Chumleys for many years. A copy of Gourmet magazine had an article about one of our wild game feasts in the 1980s. Each January in Maryland at Trinity Church, where Martin Townsend was rector, there was an evening at the rectory with 5 or 6 couples. It was a black tie event, and each couple had responsibility for one of the game entrees: upland game, lowland game, fish, and wild game, and also for games or entertainment between eating that included everything from string quartets to skits. One year, a writer for Gourmet magazine and a fellow priest and friend of Martin's was invited to the feast. An article was the result a few months later. After reading the article, I thumbed through and noticed an article about a famous young pianist. He was a refugee from Cuba during the days when many risked their lives to load small boats and make the treacherous trip from Cuba to Miami. His only possession was a fistful of Beethoven sonatas rolled up in his hand, traveling a fearful trip to his new home in Miami. His first piano teacher quickly knew that he was a brilliant talent who needed to be with an equal in teaching. As I recall, he was referred to the Chumleys, who taught him for free until he left for college. Their years of giving spanned many worlds. More than 50 years had passed before I had the opportunity to thank Nan. My sisters, Pam and Phyllis, were together at St. Philip's in May of 2017. We had planned a few days in our hometown to finally deal with our mother's ashes. I suggested that we go to church on Sunday morning. We were greeted joyfully when we entered the church. I asked if there was any chance that Nan Chumley was still alive. The parishioner said that she was doing well and would be there in the next few minutes. Within seconds, Nan appeared at the door in her tiny, delicate, beautifully dressed 95-year-old body. She walked up to me and clasped my hands, simply saying, "Patty?" I thanked her for all she had done and made sure that she knew I could not have been here if it had not been for her help. My sisters had similar responses. My lifetime friend Rick was also a concert pianist and has known Nan for his entire life. He has kept me informed of her graceful aging, living in the Gables, and surrounded by those who love her. I hope you've enjoyed this little story from my past. It may give you a window into who I am, whatever your experience has been, whether it's been a lifetime or decades, as many of my students have followed my journey, or my own children, if they're not familiar with this story. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a great day, and may we all stay well. I hope to see you again soon.